Spiritual exhaustion. It may seem like you encounter the same type of battles no matter where you go, and it could really, really take a toll on you mentally, spiritually, and psychologically. This is Yasira, the spiritual samurai, and in this video I'm going to talk about spiritual exhaustion and the fact that it is not something to be taken lightly. This is going to be words of encouragement and motivation during these times, because this is the reason why many people end up offing themselves, is because of this. And a lot of times we may be aware of it and why, but some of us may not be aware of the extent of spiritual exhaustion and how serious it really is. It can be very severe. It's the fact that you don't see it that makes it so dangerous to yourself and to your being. So nobody's gonna come up to you and say you're experiencing a tremendous amount of spiritual exhaustion from the beginning of your life. Most people are not spiritual. This is why a lot of channels like these, we don't get as many views. Not many people, not that a lot of people wouldn't watch it, but even if they do, the majority doesn't understand this type of message. And also the algorithm, you know how that is. Life-saving information is something that I guess they don't want to be put out there, because the more people are awakened to their, potential within and how to overcome a lot of these battles, the less power the devil has. And the more empowered we are, the more we know who we are, the more we glorify God, because that is the source of our power, the more that will weaken the devil's kingdom. So, of course, this type of information is not really something that is the most popular. But regardless of that, we continue to do what we do, because this is what literally keeps us alive. Something as not as simple as knowledge, spiritual knowledge, encouragement, and sharing how we deal with these things. If you're a person who is highly sensitive to the spirit realm, then you already know, like, the way you look at things is very different from the majority, right? You have a way of deconstructing information and understanding things with greater depth. You're not somebody that, you don't just label people. They may put you in a box, but then they realize that you're very different. And when they find that out, you're seen as a strange, mysterious individual, which honestly they could think whatever, right? At this point, you shouldn't care what they think, because people who put you on a box are people that have a very limited perspective on life and on people. They have a very, they're just not, they don't have the capacity to understand the depth of you, So that's one thing that can cause spiritual exhaustion, is trying so hard to explain yourself to people, trying to explain who you are, what you believe in. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. That's something that we have to understand, is that you cannot change the perception that others have of you, even if it's unfavorable. That is something you have to accept, because again, you're like a very huge anomaly everywhere you go. You're pretty much, as I've heard people say this, a glitch in the matrix, walking around, so it's not an easy thing. I guess it's not an easy thing to live with, being so different. But at the same time, we have to learn how to navigate in this world, being who we are, being a person that is very highly intuitive, somebody who's very intellectual, spiritual, knowledge seeker. You look at things differently. You don't fall for the all the agendas that they try to put out there. You're not following the crowd. You're not doing the stupid stuff that everyone else wants to do, right? So you require a lot of you're not quick to just believe in anything that you're told, and of course the type of society, society doesn't want that. They don't want free thinkers, so, but hey, I say all that to say, Spiritual exhaustion is a real thing, and it can come from like various betrayals. You have various layers of trauma from past abusive experiences, ever since the beginning of your life, ever since the day you were born, right? You can recall various life-altering events, not positive but negative life-altering events that has contributed to you having a broken psyche. You see, you're not supposed to be healthy mentally. You're supposed to be in the dark side, and I can resonate with that because I'm that person. I'm supposed to be on the dark side, but you look back and it's like that's what spiritual exhaustion does. Spiritual exhaustion is when you experience so much pain in your life, so much rejection, abandonment, abuse, heartbreak, losing money, losing love, being betrayed by people who love you. All these different things. No matter where you go, you can move from city to city. The same type of demons reappear in the people. It's almost like your presence activates these demonic entities within people, and those people don't even understand why it is that they do things. It's kind of like when Jesus was being crucified. Those people did not understand. That's why Jesus said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because honestly, they really don't know what they're doing. People are very easily programmable. The human race is easy to manipulate. It's almost very scary, actually, because they can easily turn on an innocent person. And it has happened. We have seen this throughout history. The biggest example is Jesus, right? We all know about that. So even the people closest to you can end up hurting you. And that is something that it's something that it's the type of path, that's the type of pain that you go through when you go down the narrow path, is that a lot of people will turn on you, people that you didn't think would. Gonna lose friends and everything like that, and that can contribute to spiritual exhaustion. And another thing too is you will get accused of having a very severe mental illness. To try to they do this to try to discredit what you know to be true. And of course, you may have some type of course, you're going to have PTSD. A lot of us have complex PTSD. It's only natural that you end up having that when you go through various traumas from a very young age. So but that comes from trauma, you see. It's not something that, like, the sad thing about this world too, another thing, spiritual exhaustion comes from the not being understood. People putting you on that box of, oh, this person is crazy, this person is this. When people hear about, oh, you got PTSD or anything like that, or they'll accuse you of having that other mental illness that it starts with a S, ends with a A, and I'm gonna just put it like that, skit. It starts with a skit and then ends with an A. You can I'm not gonna say it, but there will be people that will try to say that is that you have that if you have spiritual kind of experiences, supernatural occurrences. And really, this is coming from people that don't believe in the spirit realm. So again, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not diagnosing anyone or myself or anything. But what I do know is that a lot of people, and especially a lot of empathetic people who have so much energy to give, and then they end up getting abused left and right throughout life. Those people end up are at a high risk for complex PTSD, or just PTSD, either or, right? Any form of PTSD. And I can confirm this because I actually had psychologists confirm this to me, saying that and people with a high amount of empathy are more likely to have PTSD because we love very deeply, we care deeply, we connect with people on a deep level that most people don't. And so when that gets abused, when you get betrayed by these individuals, it can lead, it causes a tremendous amount of pain. It's a reason why they say that the greatest, like the most dangerous wrath comes from someone who has a good heart, someone that is a very loving person, because you reach a point, you're a human being, and don't feel bad about being very upset after going through a very heartbreaking betrayal, because you were done wrong. That's the righteous wrath that is inside you. But it's our job to make sure that we don't allow ourselves to be so immersed in this, type of physical realm. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be too attached to this world. Basically, you have to detach from this world, because you got to understand, a lot of people don't love how you love, and I say that to myself. A lot of people don't have that depth of love and caring, and actually being there for someone, showing a person affection and validation, being there for them, giving them words of motivation, doing things that inspire them. A lot of people don't do that kind of thing. Look at how messed up the world is right now. So of course, if you give, and see, this comes with knowing your worth too. When you know your worth, you realize that everybody doesn't deserve access to you. And that may sound like you're being arrogant, like, oh yeah, everybody doesn't deserve me. It sounds arrogant because you're so used to being humble. You're so used to seeing yourself like, oh, it's just all regular me, all regular you, right? The reality is that if you're a child of God, if you're a person of light, of wisdom, truth, of love, then you are a rarity, and you need to protect yourself at all times. You need to protect your existence, literally, because your presence is very rare. And when you encounter, so don't be surprised, wherever you go, you will activate the demons in people, and they're going to try to make your life very difficult for no reason. Understand this. Understand your place in the world as someone who is so powerful that on an energetic and spiritual level, the demons can already sense who you are. So when you walk into a room and they just give you hell for no reason, or they try to, they have this type of animosity, jealousy toward you, because you might be good at something, you might be gifted, highly intelligent, creative, attractive in every way possible, you are going to encounter that kind of thing. And you have to understand that it comes with the territory of just being who you are, being great as you are, being amazing, being yourself, being not losing your identity to fit in with the world. This world is very uncomfortable. They feel uncomfortable toward people that are authentic, people that know thyself, people that don't try to do things to fit in, don't try to steal a celebrity's identity so that they can be accepted by the masses. It's a reason why they push certain stupidity out into the world. And it doesn't always have to be stupidity, but just the act of people just, trying to copy from somebody because they're famous. That's something that, a person that doesn't know who they are, that's what they do. And so spiritual exhaustion comes from, of course, sometimes it could be loneliness too. And you might be an introvert. You might not mind being alone for some time. You might actually prefer solitude, and that is perfectly fine. That becomes your superpower, because if you're comfortable being alone, doing you, investing into yourself, then bravo, because many people can't do that. But you got to understand, sometimes people are going to be intimidated by that. People are intimidated by people that don't need anyone, And it's not to say like, oh, I don't need nobody. Like, it's not on a boastful way. It's just, It's a sense of security within yourself. It's a sense of confidence that you have, that you can cultivate within yourself, to where you don't need to depend on someone else's validation for you to know your worth. And that is something that we need to master, especially in this world where there's very few people like us that are, there's very few people like us, so you have to be comfortable with the possibility of losing everything. You might lose your job, you might lose your house, you might lose your partner, you might lose a lot of money. You might, end up in any kind of situation. You just have to, it's like we have to mentally prepare. We have to increase in mental fortitude, increase in spiritual energy, and really preserve as much of ourselves, of our energy. That's what I mean. Like, we have to be very low key. But at the same time, it could be hard to do that when you're walking into a room and you have to work around these people, or you're going somewhere and people could see you. You have a different type of energy that people don't understand, and they fear the unknown. So of course the instinct would be to attack, especially if they carry demons, because you gotta understand, a lot of people, like I said, a lot of the human race is very easy to manipulate. So of course it's gonna be easy for a demon to just come right in and use that vessel to attack you. And I know that sounds like, people might think, oh, that sounds like crazy talk. No, if you think that's crazy talk, you are in the wrong channel, because we are seeing things for what it is. If you've experienced these strange phenomena that I'm explaining, then you already know, you understand where I'm coming from. We're healthy individuals. You may have, you and I, or whoever's watching, may have PTSD. PTSD doesn't mean that, you're, there's like, you can heal from these things. You may still have them in your mind. You may still suffer from it. You might have an episode here and there, but overall, you're able to live a relatively normal life to some extent, until you, of course, not only you got to deal with having PTSD from past traumas, but also you have to deal with the attacks that come at you the more you try to elevate. You see, if you're somebody that you went through a lot since the beginning of life, and everywhere you go they try to sabotage you, you try to increase and educate, you try to seek higher education, you're probably a very highly intelligent person, and you want to get into the STEM field or something like that, and you're putting your best foot forward to just, keep excelling and keep elevating, as you should. It is your right to do that. You put in all that work and you keep moving forward, because sometimes I feel like giving up too, and I know some of you guys may feel that way. Whatever that may be for you, whatever it is that you're trying to do, you feel like giving up because you're like, oh my God, why did I do this? Why did I bother with that? Why even bother trying to pursue this career? Why did I, produce that song, or whatever the case is for you, right? Why did I create that or whatever? No, it's a reason why. You, like I said, a lot of people may not like the truth, but essentially the truth remains constant regardless of how other people feel about it. The truth saves, but some people choose not to be saved, and that's not your job. You share you share what you share, you do what you do with the right intentions. That doesn't mean that other people will see it that way. It's not always like that, So spiritual exhaustion comes from, you basically, that's when you lose yourself in this world. That's when you find yourself trying to fit in with a society that never even liked you. It's like fitting in with that lunch table full of kids that they never liked you. They never really vibe with you like that. And that's okay. We have to accept the rejection. You know, we have to accept it. Learn to accept rejection and look at it as, hey, I'm being redirected somewhere else where I need to be. But then you might find yourself going from place to place to place, and it's like, is there something wrong with me? You start to question yourself, like, is there something wrong with me? Because I'm encountering the same kind of, situations, and I don't understand why. Again, if you know you didn't do anything wrong, then more than likely it's spiritual. If a person don't like you and you didn't do anything to them, you've been as respectful as can be, you try to stay out of their way and they still hate you. You have certain people in your life ever since you were a kid that did not like you for no reason at all. Understand that you do not need to give a person a reason for them to dislike you. And it can create spiritual exhaustion when you sit back and think, why doesn't this person like me? Why didn't they ever love me? Or you would think about your childhood. Why didn't you ever get love from certain parents or family members? What was wrong with me? We keep asking ourselves. We go through so much hell thinking about why things happened the way they did. Why certain people couldn't love us, or why we were not accepted in a certain job or in a certain environment, what have you. That creates so much exhaustion that you end up hating yourself. And that self-hatred or self-loathing is what's going to drain you. Even when you're by yourself, those people don't need to be around you for you to lose energy. You're already doing it to yourself. And then you carry that heavy energy of depression and anxiety where you go and you don't realize that you're losing your power. And then you get to a point where you never realize your potential. You never realize how great you are, all because we have not mastered ourselves and we have not understood the importance of energy and how to hone in on our abilities, how to really understand what is the spiritual realm, how does it operate. Knowing who you are is the most important thing. Knowing that you're different from the majority and that's okay, and you keep living your life the way that you know from your knowledge how you should live. Focusing on elevation, even if it means you lose a lot of friends, so what? You put God first, and then you basically obey divine wisdom, which comes from solitude, and of course fellowshipping with like-minded individuals, listening to very enlightening content can really help as well, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be needy, but we do need each other to some extent. As human beings, we do need each other. Not only are we human beings, but we are divine beings in a human vessel. So there's a lot of layers to our existence and consciousness, and we have to make sure that we feed ourselves mentally and spiritually. And this type of content is not very common because they call it crazy talk. But if you think it is, you're not in the right channel. But if you appreciate this content, then welcome to the channel. Please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment if you can resonate with the message. And I'll be back with another video next. And God bless.